know, we listened to ASX a couple of months ago. We're a hybrid cloud provider, and our global expansion is underpinned by our expansion of a hybrid cloud solution, which is in conjunction with Aryaka and the global SD-WAN. So for us, hybrid cloud is an important evolving product in the market. It's actually globally, it's a bigger market than public cloud. And for us, it's about enablement. So, if all of you took your phones, thanks, Ant, you could turn it off, mate. If you took your phone off out of your pocket and you turned off the Wi-Fi, it's pretty much a brick. So we're about enabling hybrid cloud to not be a brick, and the ability to be able to connect multiple clouds and multiple instances around the globe. The cool thing about us is that our revenue is generated not just from cloud services, but also from traditional services that you'd expect from your managed service provider or from an infrastructure provider. We've got global partnerships with security vendors and the likes that allow us to provide our devices and hardware into existing infrastructure that can then integrate into public cloud via the hybrid cloud model. We are a data center owner, so we purchased the Datacom data center of Datacom back in 2017-18, and that trades under the brand Nexion W1. We've got some global customers in there, so hands up to the global customers that have stuck in there for the last 10 years and so. So for us, it's about combining those solutions and delivering out a global hybrid solution integrated with our with our global SD-WAN. What do? We do some really cool stuff, I believe. Kevin's the guy who actually builds it, but for us it's about taking all the different aspects of cloud that you would require in a private cloud model and integrating it into hybrid cloud. Things like software as a service is certainly on the roadmap, and the core integrated services like security as a service, cloud security, infrastructure, and so forth. So everything from a single VM down to a hosted firewall. We're a big networking company, hence the name Nexion Networks. So we are a network carrier. We provide networks to enterprise customers all over the world. But that networking layer really underpins the ability to connect the hybrid cloud solutions to your core infrastructure. Hence the reason why Perth's so important, because when it does go live next week, bear in mind that Perth, as of that date, is in an internationally, globally connected city without the need to go via Sydney or via Singapore. I mean, that's a really cool thing. We would take it for granted, but that is really, really awesome. A customer sitting in Perth has the ability to connect to a Moscow office using our hybrid connection and our hybrid cloud and our global SD-WAN, and they're not going via Sydney. They're going via their own city that they're born and bred in, and that's really, really important for us. The Nexion Group rollout is about deploying out the hybrid cloud solutions into cities where global connectivity makes sense. And for us, as we've announced on the market, as the next solution is Auckland, and we're very excited to go to Auckland to build out the next hybrid cloud. We're a global company. That's pretty cool. And you still take it your strides. At the moment in Perth, as I say, we're looking at other cities with Aryaka where the solution makes sense. Going into Auckland, we announced it in our RPO, and certainly as part of our prospectus that we are looking to Southern Africa, because I get to stay with my parents, which is kind of cool. So I don't have to pay for accommodation. It's quite a cool slide, man. We take it for granted, but it's awesome. This is probably an opportunity for us to mention our relationship with RBM. Where's Jamie? Jamie, thanks, mate. It was quite a big opportunity for us to work with RBM on the deployment out of our hybrid cloud solution and our interconnected global SD-WAN. But RBM selected Nexion Networks to deliver a solution in Western Australia, utilising most of our core products, which is really, really good. I mean, I think IBM invented the computer, so they're pretty important in the world of global networking, I want to imagine. So thanks to IBM for the support, and certainly our partnership between ourselves and Aryaka and IBM is really underpinned by the ability for us to leverage those capabilities and to deliver a solution in each one of the capital cities we go to. So we're excited about what we can do with Aryaka and IBM in New Zealand. We'll certainly look to other geographical locations to roll out that solution. So thanks for that, Jamie. A couple more pictures. We made a recent acquisition, which was our first acquisition, which is good because as CEO it means that I'm delivering on the promise that I said I'd do. So one or two down and a couple more to go. I'll introduce Dan, who's the CEO and founder of Blue Sky Telecom. Blue Sky Telecom are a national telecommunications provider. They have a very, very strong focus on recurring revenue, which matches the financial ethos of the organization, and Nexion Group as a listed entity. And for us, it was about looking at that strong recurring revenue, having a look at their networking skills and their capability in satellite, which allows us to then take what we're doing on a hybrid cloud and a global SD-WAN solution, deliver it out to the edge where traditional connectivity is not available, and hence the excitement about satellite.
Very quick snapshot of Aryaka. We've been in Australia providing services and with infrastructure really based out of Sydney for some 7 years, largely as a global business network provider. We've been supporting multinational and regional rollouts. So up until last year, no people in country. I'm changing that. So the board and the management team have had a focus to build this region and business. But we do have some significant brands. So brands that are on the network are people like Cochlear, Snowy Mountains Engineering, BlueScope Steel. We brought Afterpay. I know the females will know that name. As a father of 3 daughters. And also some Australian success stories like WiseTech, who deliver their applications to 17,000 customers globally on the Aryaka network. This is the only slide that we really focus on. I actually wanted to change this to noises to listen for, but essentially these are the 5 use cases where Aryaka prevails and why SD-WAN is of value. So we used to have a great thing on our website, which was the 90s called, and they want their MPLS back. SD-WAN, cloud networking, and the move of enterprises to consume, compute, store software as a service on a subscription basis. That's what essentially is driving so many of our enterprises. When Aryaka arrives at that enterprise, we say, consume your networking on the same basis, on a cloud basis, on a subscription basis, and we are everything behind that on an SLA. That takes us straight into the cloud architectures, as so many enterprises are migrating their applications and their business processes off-prem into cloud. We support that, and architecturally and performance-wise, our SD-WAN gives much greater, next one, application performance to those enterprises. The agility that sits in some of that, so when Afterpay came onto the network last year, and their first site was up in China, and they said, look, we've spoken to the carriers on this. We need to be able to run applications that are sitting in a Melbourne data center and AWS Sydney. We need to be able to run those applications and have productivity out of that. 72 hours later, we had them on the network. So operational simplicity is just about leave it to us. We're a managed service provider. We run the SLAs. Those SLAs run from last mile through middle mile to core. And look, that's the obligatory digital transformation mention. Nobody actually knows what that means, but it was either that or a photograph of our Silicon Valley headquarters. If you work for a Silicon Valley company, you have to have those 2 things. And very quickly, you can just tap through this. I mean, this is really the core of the software, the layer cake, as we call it. So the connectivity. We started as an application acceleration business. Application acceleration as a service business. That's one of the keys to what sits in that layer. Cloud native connectivity, the inherent security in the stack, and ultimately the smart insights that we can bring back to enterprises as a customer in terms of optimizing their network, making their spend the most economic. And this is the heart of it. The heart of it is we're a private layer 2 uncontested global network. So in the partnership, and getting to the partnership with Nexion was a truly strategic one from an infrastructure perspective. Was we were sitting with this POP in Sydney, and we needed to have a partner who was prepared to give us this West Coast for several reasons. The international basis of business that Perth and the West Australia is, the terms of the commerce in terms of agribusiness, mining, resources sector, with the international nature of that business. There's 20% of Australia's GDP right there, and how it connects with the world. So the partnership with Nexion was truly strategic for us in terms of being able to have that infrastructure and presence on both sides of the country, whether you're getting their traffic off to North America or up to Asia and across to Europe. And that's why it's really important to us, and that's why it's truly a strategic relationship. So this is really business grade connectivity to the rest of the world, software defined. And I think I've actually covered this. So, our aspirations and our ambitions is similarly as a global networking company. The joint global expansion with support of Nexion to support that move of enterprise, particularly those targeted sectors that interest both of us in oil and gas, in resources, in mining services, in agribusiness, as they move to cloud architectures to support their export and international businesses. The application performance on that, especially when they're coming back to Perth, when that traffic's coming back to Perth. And also the hybrid solutions. We are a niche as part of the solution set. We are the networking and security piece to that, but we then have to integrate into other vendors that are supported by Nexion, the whole solution being put together, and again the obligatory digital transformation. Feel free to talk to me about what that might be.
My name's Mario Vecchio. I look after all of APJ for Aryaka, and so that includes out of Mongolia all the way through to the east coast of India, all the way down through Japan, Korea, into Australia. And so I get to see a good visibility of what's happening in the market, certainly within our region. Sorry, I should include China in there as well. So I do get to see what's happening with big customers around the globe and what the trends look like, especially during COVID. I was the guy who was on a plane 3 weeks out of every 4 weeks in Asia somewhere. And my wife used to say that I live in the cloud. I literally did live in the cloud. Of course, COVID came along, and now I'm zoomed to death every day, all day long. This is my first trip in a plane for 15 months. I'm based in this sleepy place, which we've been locked down for 12 months. And we weren't allowed to travel 5 kilometres outside of our home base. You would have heard of this place, it's called Melbourne. So it's nice to actually be out and amongst everybody, and not have to wear a mask and not have to do all of the things that none of you guys have had to do pretty much through this whole process. So I'm very envious, and it's nice to be back in Perth. I thank Paul for the relationship that we've built over the journey, and now Paul's business will be able to get you connected in Perth and drop you off in Moscow, in London, in Africa, in Latin America, in China. We have the ability to go and are accredited to go straight through the Great Firewall of China, one of the very few companies that can do that. And so if you want to get dropped off pretty much anywhere in the world, Paul is going to be able to do that for you, both at a guaranteed SLA and guaranteed performance in that to about 95% of the workers anywhere in the world. And we continue to invest in that. Aryaka, as Paul said, is a Silicon Valley-based company. We're based right in California in Silicon Valley. We're about 400 people, growing quite fast. We've raised in excess of 200 million to date. We still have 50 million cash at bank, and I'm talking USD. So we're a very strong financial business, and you'll see us continue to grow and grow our footprint in Asia. My job is to grow the Asian business, and we're doing that rapidly across the region. I'm really pleased, coming from a tech background in mining, as I did come prior to this job. I'm really pleased that we're doing this in Western Australia, and I'm looking forward to the opportunities that this will bring up between both organisations. So once again, thank you guys, and I think we're going to light up Perth in the next few days, perhaps. It's pretty much all the work is done, and it will be lit up very soon, probably next week sometime. So that's really all I really wanted to say from an Aryaka perspective. As Paul said, just consider us like you consider AWS or you consider Azure. Consume what we have the way you consume those services. You know, I'm one of the original Cisco guys from 100 years ago, and trust me, the way that the world of networks works has changed forever. And you know, you'll be using this in one way or another in a software world over the coming years, no matter what. So I appreciate everyone's time for coming along. If you want to grab me or Paul, grab Paul. So appreciate your time. Thank you, everyone.